Okay then, joining me now on the episode today is the main man behind a mysterious new toy company that has been posting some amazing stuff in relation to their upcoming Kickstarter campaign. Now, full disclosure, I haven't been entirely truthful in my reporting on this so far because I've actually been involved as a consultant since day one. Actually, probably since day minus 50. Yes, the company in question is Skeletron. And the product is an awesome, modern updated RoboSkull Mark II. The man behind this venture? None other than a good personal friend of mine, Ben Conway. Ben, how are you doing, my good man?
Hey, Chris! Good to see you, man.
That's on par with Pat Stewart's intro.
That's what made me think of it. I love Pat's intro. It's the best.
It is the best, isn't it? Although I do like Justin's at the moment as well, where he's kind of like...
Justin's is good.
Yeah, so...
But Pat's is better. Sorry, Justin.
Pat's is the classic sitcom trope. I love it so
100%.
much. Anyway, enough of that. We're not here to talk about Pat. We're here to talk about you, and we're here to talk about Skeletron. Now... we've got you for a quick chat today about kind of specifics that we can actually divulge about the project. We'll be going into like a much more detail on a deeper interview in the future, closer to when the Kickstarter drops later this month. But for now, let's get some background on this project, dude. Why the RoboSkull? I mean, what does it mean to you?
What does the RoboSkull mean to me? That's not a quick one for me, Chris.
Deep, isn't it?
That's a deep question.
Just one word answer. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think the RoboSkull is the greatest action figure vehicle ever made, in short. And I love it. I've just been completely obsessed with it since the first time I saw it. And seeing it for the first time as an adult, because as an American, I didn't know it existed, unlike you, Chris, who got to enjoy that as a child. But I think the first time I saw it online, and it really kind of recaptured that, oh my God, wow feeling that I had when I was a kid. Like the first time I saw my favorite G.I. Joe on the pegs, Storm Shadow. I remember that moment when I was 5 years old. And when I saw the RoboSkull, it did that. Like my jaw literally dropped. And I just thought it was so incredibly wacky, amazing, and just awesome.
I love that I love that pun you put at the end about your jaw dropping, because obviously there's a nice feature on this particular vehicle, isn't there, which we'll get to in a little while.
Yes, there is.
So, in terms of, I mean, let's talk about quickly as well. I know obviously there's a little bit of history with you and the RoboSkull in that during a JoeCon at one point you brought a rather miraculous ChromoSkull, as I quite happily used to call it. But I mean that was amazing. I mean that's something that obviously. Again, we'll throw some images up. Very kind of almost iconic in its own right within the JoeCon community, especially. What made you want to do that? Because that was amazing.
Well, it was that was Loveland and Loveland JoeCon, and the theme that year was Sky Patrol. So we were all talking about Chrome and thinking about Chrome, and I love Chrome. I think Chrome is beautiful, and so I thought, wow, what if I could combine the beautiful shine of Chrome with the greatest action figure vehicle.
Do you know what would have been a really cool figure to go in as the pilot? Destro. Or like Red Jackal or something. Do you know, something like that where it's like the chrome head and inside a chrome head. It's almost like Skeletron inside a RoboSkull in a sense, wouldn't it? Like, you know.
Yeah, I love it. You're layering it up.
Yeah, that would be sweet. Well, anyway, I love that thing. I remember seeing that for the first. I think you came to see me. We were going to our rooms, and I think you dragged me to your room. I think you came and grabbed me before I went into mine, and you said, "Come, I've got to show you something. It's amazing. You'll love it. We're revealing it tomorrow. We're going to show it off tomorrow. I want you to come and see it." I'm like, "Okay." Okay, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. You dragged me to the room, and it was the chrome RoboSkull, and I was just like, "What on earth am I looking at?" And there was a few other guys in there. I think Locke was in there. I think didn't he have his if my memory serves. I'm sure.
Cyclones
Yeah.
all over the place too.
Yeah, and I think he had like it was like a Zoid. I think he'd built and he brought in.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Good
like
memory.
the Liger or something like that. But anyway, I remember being in that room and the energy and everyone like just being like, "Oh my god, this is freaking amazing." Never in my wildest dreams did I think, just because you'd done that we'd be sitting here talking about a modern upgrade to the RoboSkull. Now, take us. I mean, let's talk about that because obviously that's what we're here for. What made
I'm going to, but I have to mention too. Thinking back to what sort of inspired me to do the Chrome RoboSkull.
Yeah.
Kate's 12-inch scale RoboSkull
Yeah.
was amazing that she'd come out with prior to that. And of course, I don't have the talent to sculpt something like that together myself, but I could get something pro. So
oh yeah, that was insane. That's one of the reasons for our current marriage is that 12-inch RoboSkull. So
that makes total sense.
Yeah, that was the fishing line. That was the bait she put on the end of the fishing line on that one. That's also quite insane. And obviously, we're all so intertwined with this vehicle now, so it's nice that we actually got a chance to be consultants on this particular brand. So we really appreciate being involved in it in that way. Let's get into a little bit of history as well, because I want to talk about the first time you approached me with this idea. Because I remember getting a phone call from you. I was in Missouri at the time, and I'm at home. Ben Conway comes up on my phone. I'm like, what's going on here? Why is Ben calling me? Answered it. What did you tell me at that point?
I think I was just like, I've got this crazy idea, Chris, and we're going to make a freaking RoboSkull, and are you in? Let's do this. Or something like that.
I remember just being like, this is mad. This is like Doc Brown's calling me. I'm Marty McFly. I'm not getting into that car just yet. I'm tentative. And I remember us talking it through, and I think we were on the phone for a number of hours. I remember eventually just being walking around the garden because, just chatting to you outside. And we were coming up with ideas left, right, and centre of what it could be and what it could look like and the design and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't. I think initially I was very tentative. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But once we started talking about it and your ideas started coming out, I'm like, oh my god, this sounds incredible. And you were like the mad genius that was going to be able to pull it off,
Well, I certainly wasn't the mad genius in total, because what I did was I'm like, we have to do this. And then I pulled in just an amazing, group of talent, like an entire group of the people that I thought would be the best people to really do this thing right. And that was a big thing. Even on the front end, Chris, that to me, it was like, this has to be a love letter to the 80s. And to Bob and the amazing design work he's done, and to do it in a way that really respects all of that, but then is also an all new design, right? An all new design that the fans, us big kids, will all really love and say, yeah, we nailed it, right? So that's a big ask, and one of the first people I contacted, after you was Dave, to say, hey, this is a concept that I'd really like to pursue. What do you think? And
he was probably already ahead of you at that point, wasn't he? He was probably like, yeah, let's do it. Here's everything you're gonna need.
Yeah, and I think he said I was kind of nuts, but I explained the idea and what we wanted to do with it, and said he was in. So that was awesome. And then he recommended, I didn't know Alex Wu at the time at all.
Amazing.
So he recommended Alex to help us with concepting and to build the framework of the all new design. And Alex just blew me away. I mean, right out of the gate.
I remember the first
you were there, Chris. We had these concepts.
Yeah, you'd send me stuff through like as it was coming in, and I remember you sent me like the first group of concepts, and straight away it was like, this is like, you can see it building almost. You could almost see it in your mind before you actually saw the final form of it. And it went through a lot of changes, design changes, didn't it? Like I remember initially there was the skull epic that you showed me it was more biological than it was mechanical. And then it was more mechanical than it was biological. And there was this kind of like this aim to try and kind of get a nice mixture of the two, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, Alex did a really great job of casting a wide net on what the all new design could look like, and then so we just we refined from there, and so it wanted to be all new and fresh, but at the same time didn't want to deviate too far from the kind of the core idea of what we wanted to achieve.
Well, that's something that I think that this new design definitely has a great balance there, because it's not a copy of the original. But how can you not, with a skull in the middle and two wings either side, how can you not be like, have any kind of, visual connection to the original? But I do think there's a significant difference there, and all of the different other flourishes that have been thrown in there. I know we discussed all sorts of different things, and I think there was initially some sort of idea of making it very like spider-like, to make it look kind of like very creepy and very like, like it could walk almost. And that's where those landing talons eventually kind of evolved from, right?
Absolutely. And we still sort of have that, that concept still sort of lives within the final design.
Yeah,
that you get the impression that this thing can kind of walk along if it needs to, in order to, maybe go into a cave and ferret out some people that are hiding.
Some Z-Force.
There's no hiding from the RoboSkull.
No, not anymore. It's terrifying, isn't it? You look at it, and it needs to have that. It needs to have that kind of terrifying aspect, like the original does, like that kind of real, like it's a skull, and it looks terrifying. But this has got like creepy aspects to it. One thing I will, if anyone, if I've had any input into this design in any way, shape, or what's coming, in any way, shape, or form, it's the mohawk. Now I remember. There was a concept came through from Alex early on. I'm not sure if you've got an image of it, and I'm just going to say it anyway. And if we don't have the image of it, then
we'll get you what you need.
We'll see what we can dig out. But I definitely recall a really tall mohawk that he'd done on one of the designs, and I was like, yes, I'm all about that, because it creates space for the figure as well. So you're not just I suppose like. You're not relying on the space inside the skull necessarily. You give it that raise it up, and you give it a bit more space to kind of work with inside. And I thought, that's great, because like you can look out then of this window, much like the original, which is more of a dome. It's more of a curvature kind of lid.
Right.
And when I saw that mohawk, I'm like, I am gonna fight tooth and nail to keep that in the design. And even when you sent me what was like the final design, I'm like, guys, I kind of feel like it needs a bit more mohawk. And then everyone's just like, for God's sake, again with the mohawk. But yeah, I think that is, on the final design, is just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's, you're right on, Chris. You touched on a couple things there, because it not only has to, function aesthetically, but we had to engineer this thing so that we get, maximum play value, and that the figures fit the way that we want them to fit. And so there was a lot of refinement that went on. We haven't really touched on it, but in this conversation, but this is years we've been working on this. It's been a multi-year endeavor. It's ready now, but it was ready when it was ready. And it was so much fun to have, Chris, again, thank you for introducing me to the man himself, Mr. Bob Breeken.
That was an anxious time period, though, wasn't it? Where we were like, we want to send something to Bob. We want to kind of tell him about this, and we want him involved. How is he going to take it? And he was blown away, wasn't he? Like, he's been so active in the, in his consultation.
He's been a huge participant in the entire process, not only for the RoboSkull Mark II, but for other design elements, like when we're looking at the bad guy logos and things like that.
Yes.
So he's been very involved, which is amazing. And to have him be so incredibly proud of the final product, it just means a lot, I think to all of us.
And it lends legitimacy to it as well, doesn't it? Like if you've got the guy that did the original on board, then something is going right in that process.
Yeah, and I mean that's what it's all about, is to do this from the beginning. We were like, we need to do this in the right way.
Yeah.
It has to be, we need the trademarks, we need Bob on board, and we need to make the most kick-ass vehicle, we can possibly make, that fans are going to look at it and say, wow, they really put something together here.
Absolutely.
And I feel we've nailed it on everything. So I really hope the fans agree.
Absolutely. I mean, so speaking of Bob, as obviously as another collaborator, there are a number of exciting collaborators on the project. And again, outlined in that amazing hype video you guys dropped the other day. Fantastic work there. It was probably, it was about last week now, wasn't it, as we record this? I mean, could you take us through like, those collaborators and what they actually bring to the project? Obviously, we've discussed Dave, we've discussed Bob, Alex as well, obviously with the conceptual design, but there are a few more, aren't there?
So the other big collaborator on our recent video is Marauder, which is just unbelievable to be able to have someone with such an amazing track record of both quality product, successful Kickstarter launches, and just great service.
Yeah.
Like just the way they take care of their customers. I've always had nothing but, just deep respect for MJ and everyone over on the Marauder team. They just do an amazing job, and they run a business the way that I like to run a business. And so there was a lot of, so I think that was a fast friendship with MJ to kind of bring this all together and deliver an awesome figure, an awesome pilot that's going to come along.
There we go. That's the crux of it. That's something I don't think to this point has been really discussed, has it? Obviously, a pilot figure is going to come with this. That's amazing. It's Marauder Gunrunners. Scale. Can we quickly discuss, very quickly, the scale of this particular figure from Marauder, but also what the RoboSkull is actually capable of in terms of scale? Because I think people are going to be very excited about this.
Well, I mean, that's the comments I'm seeing online right now is, great, what scale it is. And people are like, well, it's Marauder, so clearly it's 4-inch scale. And clearly it's going to have to be 4-inch scale. But the RoboSkull from the very beginning for me is something where I want it to be, RoboSkull's for everybody, right, Chris?
Yes.
It should exist in all universes and play with all your toys.
Everyone should have a death skull flying from above, raining fire on everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Which is why from the very beginning, even years ago, before G.I. Joe Classified came out and before the 6-inch figures, took off, we were designing this to hold a 6-inch pilot in addition to, pull that 6-inch seat out, and you could put in 2 4-inch seats. So the whole design of this RoboSkull is built around trying to do something that, of course, is impossible. Make all the fans, have all the fans be happy. But we're giving it our best effort, and I'm really excited about the way that the RoboSkull scales for one 6-inch pilot and how that looks, and the way that it looks with 2 4-inch pilots inside. We spent a lot of time to make this RoboSkull feel right at both scales. And I think once we get into those reveals, people are going to really, really like it.
Absolutely. I mean, that for me that was something that we discussed, wasn't it, early on? And what's funny is I remember I think in that first conversation this came up. We were talking about incorporating all kinds of scales. And obviously the two kind of major ones at the moment are, your 4-inch modern and your 6-inch, which is obviously dominating with Classified and Marvel Legends and Black Series, etc., etc. So you've got like this, this kind of thing where it's like, with 6-inch so prominent currently, you couldn't really, there was no real avoidance of that, was there? So obviously we were almost forced in a sense to go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we were forced, but we definitely
wanted to, at least.
We wanted to from the beginning, and it only became more and more clear as we were developing this that was the right call.
Yeah.
To have that be one of our priorities, that it be able to accommodate both scales. So it just became increasingly clear that was the right call, and it was fun. It was fun to develop all that and to try to pack it all in. And I think once people see more of what's inside the RoboSkull, they're going to have a greater appreciation for all the things that we have packed into there, because there's a lot of fun stuff. It's great. And one more person that I have to mention, who isn't on the, who isn't on the video,
Yeah.
Is my right-hand man on this entire project, who is Marco Byrne. And Marco Byrne has been just, I mean,
incredible.
He's been a good friend of mine for years, but he's been a driving force on this entire project. I mean, he's pushed this along and pulled it along, and the amount of talent that's just come out of this man is just, it's incredible.
What blows my mind is we were right at the beginning of this project. We got some concepts through, and it was like cool. And then you mentioned on the off that you said, "Oh, Mark's just downloading some 3D sculpting software, he's like ZBrush or whatever, and he's going to give it like a little shot to see if he can mock up a 3D model of it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool. That'll be interesting." Like straight. He hasn't had any experience of that before.
Right,
Dude,
right.
In about a week, we got this 3D sculpt, and I'm like, "Are you? Hang on, Mark has never done this before." And it seems to be the case. He just kept picking things up as we were going along and bashing out these like ridiculously professional. And I'm like, I hate the guy. He's so like, first off, he's the nicest man you'll ever meet. Secondly, he just, whatever he does, whatever he puts his focus on, is unbelievably talented.
He really is. He's one of those guys that can just pick something up. He's got the knack, and he can just pick something up on any kind of artistic endeavor and just
video editing now as well. Did the hype video, didn't he?
Yeah, and wrote the music, composed the music, put it together.
Jealous.
Yeah, he's a pretty special guy.
He's amazing. Big shout out, Mark. Yeah, great. And that's pretty much, that's the whole team now, isn't it? I think pretty much, other than
I mean, it's not the whole team. There are a lot of people that we've pulled in sort of at different stages to help give us some additional boosts. We've got some artists. We've got a lot of artists that we've got on tap to bring out. Yeah, to bring out some additional support and promo stuff. So it's been, which is super fun for me, because I love the art that goes along with the toys. That's something that's always been really, really important to me. The Hector Garrido art from when I was a kid on the card backs from G.I. Joe was that. I mean, that's what really sucked me in, and so I just really appreciate the artwork as part of the entire process and part of the entire package. And
people are going to,
so
we're not going to say anything now, but people are going to go absolutely wild. Not only with, let's say some of the other elements that go into toy, making, but like you say, the artwork involved and who's involved in it is going to blow some minds, I think. So obviously that'll be saved until Kickstarter. We can't really, again, you probably can't really give us a date right now, but it will be later on this month. Is there anything?
October, yeah.
I mean, that's coming. It's come around quick. It feels, although I feel like it's come around quick. You feel like it's been far too long in coming.
Yeah, it's time. So we set that we wanted to get this thing launched this year, and turns out there's a lot of other Kickstarters going on right now, and a lot of great Kickstarters. So I know that's in some ways not ideal because there's so many great products, but I hope that every one of them can be successful, because there's just it's just astounding how many great companies and great products are coming out right now. I really feel like there's just this golden age for us, the adult collector. It's just an amazing time. Just so many great products on the market, and it's just a ton of fun.
Well, I mean, yeah, that kind of brings us, I guess, to the end of the chat then, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting about this amazing vehicle. And obviously, thank you so much for obviously having, myself and Kate's involvement in there too. Like we've loved seeing this project kind of grow. And obviously, just recently, just really enjoyed seeing it being slowly leaked out to people to kind of see, and to just be really, I think there's a lot of excitement out there, especially from the kind of the community.
Yeah, I sure hope so. And I hope that people are enjoying. We wanted to have a little bit of mystery going on here at the beginning before we throw everything out. But we're not making people wait long with the Kickstarters just right around the corner here. So thank you for having me on, Chris. It's a pleasure. I love your show. I love this show's energy. I love your energy. And, it's the Full Force Fancast has been the show that I watch when I have time to catch up on the news. So this is, it's a real treat for me to be able to be on the show. So thank you.
Ben's actually, that's my consultant fee right there that you No, that's a massive pleasure, mate. And again, good luck with everything, because I suppose I'm quite invested in this myself, so good luck to us, I guess. Good luck to everyone involved. Good luck to all of the collaborators, and like you say, that list of people involved is just remarkable. And it's been a great journey so far. Hopefully the Kickstarter can absolutely blow it out the water, and we can have an amazing modern RoboSkull in our hands very soon. That's crazy to think about, isn't it? So crazy.
It's been a long time coming. Let's keep on RoboSkulling, Chris. We're gonna get there.
Let's do it. Right, I'm gonna spin off back to whoever I'm talking to. I'm gonna be with probably Pat, probably Justin. We're recording this in advance, obviously, so there's the curtain pulled back. Ben, thank you for joining me, mate. And I suppose I know you're dying to do this. Maybe after 3, we do a full force together. How's that sound?
All right.
After 3, 1, 2, 3. Full force! Nice. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.